Welcome to this Tutor to You topic video that looks at informal settlements. This is part of Paper 2, Unit A, Urban Issues and Challenges. Urban growth causes all sorts of issues in LICs and NEEs. One of the main ones is the growth of informal settlements, such as those found in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, which is pictured on screen. Informal settlements are any form of housing or shelter which is either illegal or falls outside of government control or regulation. Previously, these have been referred to as slums or shantytowns. These terms are seen as patronising and promoting stereotypes and portraying just negative aspects of life, so therefore we tend not to use them in the classroom now. However, they are also likely to be called squatter settlements in your textbook, as this is a term that was listed in the GCSE specification when it was written about a decade ago. This term is also considered to be problematic as it implies that people don't have the right to live somewhere. This is not always true, as in many informal settlements, people actually rent or own their own properties or the land they have built on. So let's think about the location of informal settlements. They are often found on the periphery of a city, sometimes along railway tracks or waterways, and sometimes near waste sites. They are often built on land that is not particularly suitable for building homes, such as the favelas in Rio that you can see on screen, where thousands of homes have been built onto steep hillsides around the edge of the city, which are really vulnerable to landslides. However, they can also pop up in areas across the city where there are gaps in land use. For example, in Mumbai, there are many informal settlements close to the CBD. The settlements that are close to a CBD are more likely to be chosen for improvement, as the government will view them as an eyesore and a waste of economically valuable land, whereas those on the edge of the city are often forgotten about due to being out of sight, so therefore out of mind. Let's have a think about the housing in informal settlements. Most informal settlements are unplanned, so the houses tend to be built haphazardly without an organised plan. This leads to narrow, winding pathways and congested areas. Housing in these areas is typically characterised by poorly constructed makeshift structures that can be made from readily available materials such as cardboard, wood scraps, corrugated metal and plastic sheeting. This results in flimsy and unstable structures, which make residents vulnerable to extreme weather. The homes are often overcrowded and cramped, which can make residents feel unsafe, but it can also enable disease to spread rapidly throughout the settlements. But what about services in these settlements? Well, informal settlements often lack planning and basic services such as clean water, safe electricity, sanitation and waste disposal. These settlements are mainly inhabited by migrants moving in from rural areas, so they grow very rapidly. This means it's hard for local authorities to know exactly how many people live in them and therefore how many people they need to provide services for. It is also very difficult to add in services once people have moved in. The overcrowded nature of informal settlements means that emergency services and waste disposal trucks find it difficult to get in along the very narrow streets. As a result, waste tends to stay in the streets and often ends up in the waterways. This means that diseases can spread easily. Within these settlements, there can also be a lack of access to vital services such as education and healthcare. And the crime rate is high in some informal settlements, although not all of them. One of the reasons that services are lacking in informal settlements is that the majority of residents will work in informal jobs. These jobs are unregulated, so the workers have no employment rights such as sick pay or pensions, and they are more likely to have low wages, poor working conditions, and be vulnerable to exploitation. Workers in the informal sector don't pay tax. This means that there is less money going into the local government, so therefore there is less money to spend on vital services that could improve the quality of life of residents. These settlements are also full of informal enterprises, often one-person cottage industries, though there are larger businesses operating. This means that they can feel really vibrant. Examples include handicraft production such as embroidery, making clothes, jewellery or soaps, leatherwork, recycling of materials like plastic and metal found in landfill by rag pickers, like the photograph of Delhi on screen, small-scale food production, tailoring, shoe repairs, and the production of small household goods such as baskets or mats. All of these can be done within the home using basic tools and readily available materials, allowing residents to generate income within their limited space and with their limited resources. That concludes this Tutor to You topic video focusing on informal settlements. Thank you for watching.